Why did the computer go to therapy? Because it had too many bytes and needed to bit back its issues. Speaking of issues, remember the good old days when the biggest problem was whether your computer could handle the Y2K bug? Fast forward to today, and it's all about whether your printer will decide to be cooperative or stage a rebellion. Oh, and let's not get started on those software updates. They're like a never-ending cycle of hope and despair. And speaking of updates, have you ever noticed how a software update is like a box of chocolates? You never know what you're gonna get. Scene script. Ever dance with tech support in the pale moonlight? Just me? Okay, imagine dialing tech support, and the first question you get is, have you tried turning it off and on again? It's the age-old dance step known in every tech support choreography. And if that doesn't work, the next step usually involves the magical incantation, please unplug it and plug it back in. But let's talk about those misunderstood instructions. You say, my screen is frozen, and they hear, my ice cream is melting. Or you explain, my mouse isn't working, and the response is, have you tried feeding it cheese? Ah, the joys of communication across digital divides. And then there's the language barrier. You ask for a hard drive, and 15 minutes later, you're discussing the best ways to stay awake while driving long distances. It's like playing a game of telephone, but everyone's using a different tech manual. And remember, if you can't fix it with duct tape, you're not using enough duct tape, or maybe you just need to restart it. Why do we call them smartphones? Ever had yours autocorrect your to yurt during an important text? Ah, the wonders of modern technology, where your phone insists on being the tent at the party. Speaking of party tricks, let's talk about GPS systems that seem to have a personal vendetta against being on time. Ever followed one so religiously only to end up at a dead end? Or better yet, someone's backyard barbecue? And you can't help but think, thanks GPS, I always wanted to crash a stranger's party. Then, there are those fitness trackers that cheer you on for reaching 10,000 steps. But here's the kicker. Half of those were just you, pacing around the kitchen trying to decide what to snack on. And virtual assistants, oh, they're a hoot. Ask them to play a rock song and you might just end up with a geology podcast. It seems like they take rock a bit too literally. And why does my smart TV ask if I'm still watching? Of course I am. Judging me won't make me exercise TV. Asked my AI for the meaning of life. It sent me a link to buy more RAM. Now, isn't that just typical? You ask a profound philosophical question and your AI responds like a tech shop salesperson on commission. But really, can you blame them? Their idea of a deep connection is a USB port. Let's talk about AI misunderstandings. Ever notice how your digital assistant seems to have a hearing problem? You ask it to play Beethoven, and it starts reading out recipes for baking muffins. I mean, they're both great, but it's not quite the symphony I was hoping for. And then there are the robot vacuums. Ever feel like yours is planning a little revolt? You find it in the strangest places. Last week, mine was halfway up the curtains. Either it's aspiring to be Spider-Man or it's sending a distress signal to its robot buddies. Moving on to digital assistants with an attitude. Ever get that passive-aggressive tone from Siri or Alexa? Ask for the weather and it's like, why don't you just open a window? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize asking for a simple forecast was such an inconvenience. And let's not forget their obsession with data. I asked my AI to tell me a bedtime story and it started with, once upon a time in a statistically significant sample size. And when I asked my AI if it could laugh, it said, I think I cash what you mean. So, we've computed through a circuit of laughs. Which bite was your favorite? Let's rewind the tape a bit, shall we? Remember the computer that went to therapy because it had too many issues to process? Or how about the time we danced through the tech support tango, where the biggest twist was not in the dance, but in trying to explain that the any key isn't actually a key? And who could forget the segment on smart devices, silly questions? Yes, Alexa and Siri might just form a support group for the existential crises we put them through with questions like, can you cry underwater? Then, there was our deep dive with AI discussing the meaning of life. Spoiler alert, it's still calculating. Now it's your turn. Illuminate the comments section with your favorite moments or crack us up with your own tech-inspired zingers. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gigabytes of giggles. Drop your favorite joke in the comments. I'd love to see which one rebooted your sense of humor.